Port Charles was buzzing, that usual electric hum that always seemed to hang over the town when too many secrets were vibrating beneath the surface. It was early afternoon, the kind of gray November day when the sky felt heavy enough to drop drama all on its own. Not that Port Charles ever needed help with that. Gio's breaking point. Gio Pomery stood outside Sonny Corinthos' office in the back of Pizzullo's, fingers curled so tightly around his phone that his knuckles had turned white. He'd rehearsed the conversation at least 10 times, but now that he was here, every word felt like it was dissolving in his throat. Max passed by, giving him the usual nod. "He's expecting you." Right, expecting him. That didn't make it any easier. Gio stepped inside, and Sonny looked up from behind his desk, his face unreadable, though his eyes softened in that way they sometimes did, the way that reminded people why he was both feared and loved. "You look like a man carrying a lot," Sonny said quietly. "Sit." Gio sat. "It's about what I told you the other day," Gio began, voice shaky. "About my family, the people who want something from me. Things are getting worse." Sonny folded his hands. "Start from the beginning." And so Gio did. He talked about the cryptic messages, the sudden reappearance of people he'd thought he'd left behind in Brooklyn, the pressure to use his connection to Sonny for purposes he didn't want to imagine. "I don't want to betray you," Gio said finally, "but I don't want to be pulled back into something I barely escaped." Sonny was silent for a long moment, long enough that Gio wondered if he'd made a terrible, irreversible mistake. Then Sonny leaned forward. "You came to me. That means something. Your family, Gio. And in this town, family doesn't turn on family." Gio felt the pressure in his chest loosen for the first time in weeks. "But," Sonny added carefully, "you need to be prepared. If someone, trying to use you, we're going to expose them. And you might not like what we find." Gio nodded slowly. "I just want it over." Sonny gave him a small, reassuring smile. "Then that's exactly what we'll do." Michael the Peacemaker. Across town at the Metro Court restaurant, Michael Corinthos was playing a role he hadn't expected to step into so early in the week, Peacemaker. He was seated between two very unhappy women, Willow and Nina, both doing that polite, passive-aggressive thing people did before a real argument broke loose. Willow had agreed to meet. Nina had promised to listen. Both promises were already crumbling. Nina sighed, shoulders tense. "I'm just saying I don't understand why we can't make small steps. A coffee here, a holiday gathering." Willow held up a hand. "Because small steps for you feel like giant leaps for me. I'm still trying to rebuild a boundary you broke." Michael stepped in before Nina could respond. "Look, this doesn't have to be solved today. The fact that you're both here means something." Nina exhaled, trying to rein in her frustration. "I know I've made mistakes, but I'm trying." "I know," Willow said, softer now. "But trying goes both ways, and I need space." Michael placed a gentle hand on Willow's arm. "No one's asking you to skip steps. Just try to see the effort." There was a moment, brief, fragile, when both women actually seemed to breathe the same air instead of battling for it. Michael could see the thaw, small but real, and he allowed himself the smallest smile. Progress, even if it was microscopic. Before they could continue, Michael's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, winced, then stood. "Sorry, I have to take this. Sonny needs to see me." Willow nodded. "Go." Nina watched him hurry off, then turned back to Willow. "I know this isn't easy," she said quietly, "but thank you for meeting me." Willow paused, then offered a measured, cautious nod. "We'll see where things go." Progress indeed. Chase brings news. At the Invader office, Alexis Davis was making her third cup of coffee, a sign that today was already testing her patience. The newsroom was bustling, phones ringing nonstop, reporters insisting their story was the most urgent on the planet. Gregory's memorial coverage had left her emotionally drained. Legal issues surrounding the paper were piling up. And then there were her daughters, always a source of love, chaos, and mild panic. She didn't need more on her plate. So when Harrison Chase knocked on her open door, She sighed preemptively. If you're here to tell me Brooklyn wants to write a column about baby fashion, It's not that, Chase said with a small smile. But now I kind of want to hear that pitch. She actually laughed for a second. Then she noticed his serious expression. What's wrong? Alexis asked, suddenly alert. Chase stepped inside, closing the door behind him. It's about a case, he began. A case that intersects with you and possibly the invader. Alexis stiffened. Which case? Chase pulled out a folder, never a good sign, and set it on her desk. We've uncovered new information involving a series of leaked documents. They were sent anonymously, but the trail leads back to someone formerly associated with your paper. Alexis's eyes widened. Who? That's the part we're still confirming, Chase said. But whoever it is, they're trying to stir up trouble, and they may be targeting you. Alexis leaned back slowly, processing the impact. Another crisis. Another ghost from her past reaching out to grab her. Of course. Why tell me now? She asked. Because you need to be prepared, Chase replied. And because we want your cooperation in identifying who had access to these files. Alexis let out a long breath. Great, just what I needed, another legal nightmare. Chase gave her a sympathetic look. You'll get through it, you always do. She smirked. Flattery will get you everywhere, detective. Then more soberly, let's dig in. Storm clouds ahead. Back at Pizzolo, Sonny watched Michael enter the office. Gio sat in the corner, still pale, still shaken. Michael, Sonny said, we've got a situation, and we're going to need your help. Michael nodded, glancing between Sonny and Gio. Tell me everything. And just like that, 3 threads, family tension, buried secrets, and new threats, began weaving together. Port Charles was on the cusp of another storm. And when storms hit Port Charles, they never just pass through. They change everything.